What would you do if your family's legacy, a pristine piece of wilderness, was stolen and poisoned by a wealthy newcomer who thought the law didn't apply to her? My name is Alex. I'm an electrician and a veteran, and I spent 14 hours driving from Colorado expecting to find my grandfather's cabin and 800 acres of lakefront solitude. What I found instead were the sounds of construction, the smell of pollution, and two massive houses built right on my family's land. Before I could even take a breath, the person responsible for it all walked out to meet me. Vivian, a transplant with political connections, who looked at my grandfather's untouched paradise and saw a blank check. Her first words to me, "This isn't yours anymore. The law's on my side." I knew right then this wouldn't be a simple conversation. This would be a war. Sometimes the law isn't a shield for the powerful. It's a weapon for the prepared. Let me take you back. My granddad bought this land with his military benefits over 70 years ago. He was a quiet man who believed in leaving nature as you found it. I spent my childhood summers there, learning to fish and listening to his stories. When he passed, I was overseas. It took me months to finally make the trip to see my inheritance. That's when I discovered Vivian's version of improvement. A sprawling mansion with imported stone, a shiny electric car parked on what used to be a natural beach, and a second house going up nearby. The air, which should have smelled of pine, carried the sting of diesel and something fouler. She approached me like she was doing me a favor. "Your grandfather abandoned this place," she said, handing me a folder. "Under adverse possession rules, it belongs to the Homeowners Association now. My HOA." She offered me a quick cash deal to sign away my rights and leave. When I hesitated, her smile tightened. "Don't make this difficult. You can't win." That was her first mistake. I didn't take the bait. I went back to the cabin, the one she called an eyesore, and started digging. Granddad kept everything. The original deed and land surveys were crystal clear. Her dream home was built 200 feet over my property line. But that was just the surface. In an old trunk, I found records of mineral rights leases. For decades, a company had been paying us for the gravel under this land, and the lease was about to expire, with renewal rights coming to me, the owner. The most valuable deposits? They were directly under Vivian's new mansion. This wasn't just about stealing a view. This was a calculated heist for resources worth millions. The next morning, official letters arrived. Threats from a high-priced law firm. Notices that I owed thousands in back dues to an HOA that didn't legally exist when my cabin was built. The pressure campaign had begun. That's when I went into town and met my first ally, Ben, a local contractor nursing a coffee at the diner. "You're the one going up against Vivian?" he asked. He'd done work for her and, like others, never got fully paid. He leaned in. "You want to really get her? Check her septic system." "It's not a system. It's a pipe dumping straight into the lake." My blood ran cold. That lake was my grandfather's treasure. Ben had photos. Proof. Environmental crimes change everything. They bring in federal agencies, real consequences. But Vivian wasn't slowing down. I found a violation notice on my door, demanding $15,000 for my cabin's noncompliance. The signature claiming to be from a founding HOA member? It was a bad forgery of my late grandfather's name. The arrogance was unbelievable. Jake and I went to the shoreline behind her property. The water was cloudy and stank. We took samples in glass jars. As we did, Vivian roared up on ATV with her lawyers. "You're trespassing," she yelled. I showed her my phone's GPS, aligned with a 1952 survey. "We're 50 feet inside my line," I said. Her calm facade shattered. She unleashed a tirade, recorded on my phone, about bringing civilization to our backward area, dismissing this stagnant lake she was poisoning. Her lawyers tried to shush her, but the damage was done. She confessed to her contempt on video. Greed doesn't just blind you. It makes you confess into a live microphone. The sabotage started that night. Cut power lines. Trespasser spray painted on my cabin, but they missed the trail cameras I'd hidden. The footage was clear. Vivian and her husband directing the vandalism. They were building my case for methane. The cavalry arrived, not on horses but in government sedans. Agents from the EPA's Criminal Investigation Division. They've been tipped about the pollution, and my complaint launched their official probe. Their water tests confirmed the disaster. "This is deliberate discharge," one agent said, holding up a contaminated water sample. "This is felony territory." What would you have done when the person who stole from you started to unravel? Let me know in the comments. Where are you watching from? As the agents worked, Vivian held a press conference, calling me an outside agitator. When a reporter confronted her with the EPA's findings, she snapped on camera, calling the pristine lake nothing, and her destruction progress. The clip went viral. Her public meltdown was complete. We organized a community heritage day on the property for Saturday. Food, music, history displays. A public celebration of the land she was trying to erase. The morning of the event, she showed up with a demolition crew, claiming my cabin was a safety hazard. The permit was for a different lot. She couldn't even get her revenge right. By noon, federal agents were back, collecting evidence in front of hundreds of picnic-goers. Vivian's own demolition work churned up the polluted sediment, making the crisis visible to everyone. Her husband, the county commissioner, tried to shut the festival down. That's when a tribal council member presented a federal court injunction protecting the gathering. He was outmaneuvered on his own turf. Then, her crew accidentally ruptured a main sewage line. Raw waste flooded her manicured lawn and flowed toward the lake, a toxic spectacle in front of the whole town and multiple news crews. She stood there, ankle-deep in a mess she'd created, screaming about sabotage. At the peak of the chaos, she grabbed the festival's microphone. "You're all trespassing," her voice boomed. I walked up, holding my grandfather's original deed high. "They're on Morrison land," I said, my voice steady. "The same land your house is on." That's when an EPA agent stepped forward. "Vivian Ashworth, you're under arrest." The handcuffs clicked. Even then, she shouted about her connections and vowed to sue. As they led her away, I said, "You tried to steal a legacy. All you did was expose your own." Her husband was arrested next for conspiracy and abuse of power. The game was over. In the end, she took a plea deal, prison time, millions in restitution, and a lifetime of infamy as the woman who poisoned a lake. Her mansion was condemned and torn down. The mineral rights? They're now funding the Morrison Family Trust, which protects this land forever. We partnered with universities and the tribal council to clean the lake and create scholarships. My grandfather's simple wish to keep it wild is now legally guaranteed. The system is stacked, but not unbreakable. You just need the truth, the right allies, and the patience to let your opponent make their final, fatal mistake. If you have your own story of fighting back, I'd love to hear it. Drop it below. And if you believe in stories where the little guy wins, make sure to like this video and subscribe to @UrbanTales_41 for more real tales of justice. Thanks for watching.